嗨嗨嗨！欢迎大家来到果果的新闻频道。本期重要看点：一位备受瞩目的公众人物查理柯克，在他突然与我们告别之前，究竟经历了怎样不为人知的巨大压力？一段被公开的充满温情的信件背后，为何隐藏着截然相反的惊人真相？有报道指出，他曾面对一笔天文数字的承诺，条件却仅仅是改变他的公开立场。而他最后的选择不仅让他与某些强大的力量决裂，更让他向亲友吐露了深深的不安。今天我们就来揭开这场围绕信念、权力以未完成的转变的风暴。今天就让美国专家约翰·米尔斯海默揭开真相，请看前方发来的报道。
What has been the international reaction to the U.S.-supported Israeli attack on an American ally, Qatar?
Well, I think it's beginning to bite in the Middle East. I think the most important development is that the Saudis and the Pakistanis have just announced a security pact. As we all know, the Saudis have always depended very heavily on the United States for their security. And before October 7th, we were hoping to fashion an Abraham Accord with Saudi Arabia. It would really tie Saudi Arabia's security to the United States and to Israel in a profound way. But October 7th and what's happened since that has fundamentally changed that situation. The Saudis do not trust us hardly at all. And after the attack on Qatar and the fact that we supported the Israelis and apparently gave them the green light, the Saudis are looking elsewhere for their security. And as I said, what has happened is that they have reached a security agreement with the Pakistanis. And in fact, that security agreement says that an attack on one is considered an attack on both. And you want to remember that Pakistan has nuclear weapons. So the game is really beginning to play out in ways that are not favorable to the United States, for sure.
Why would Netanyahu go on international television before Charlie Kirk's killer had even been caught and deny that the Israelis had anything to do with his death? Is their reputation that bad?
Well, actually,
that he had to do that?
The answer is yes, but I would note to you that Max Blumenthal, who has done yeoman-like work breaking that story, actually put out a tweet today that showed that Netanyahu has just issued another statement where he talks about the fact that Israel and Charlie Kirk were the best of friends, and that Israel had absolutely nothing to do with Charlie Kirk's death. Now, the question you ask is, why is this the case? And the answer is, there are three big events in recent American history where people believe there was a conspiracy involved, and that conspiracy involved Israel. One is the assassination of JFK. Two is what happened at 9/11 or on 9/11. And three is the Charlie Kirk killing. This is a huge problem for the Israelis. I'm not saying that the Israelis were involved in any three of those events, but there are a lot of people who believe that the Israelis were involved in Kennedy's assassination, what happened on 9/11. And by the way, I would note that Tucker Carlson is doing a 5-part series. It's due to come out reasonably soon on what happened on 9/11, and he will make the argument that the Israelis were involved. And then, of course, there's the Charlie Kirk business, and all sorts of people think, and this is in keeping with Max Blumenthal's superb reporting, that the Israelis were involved in what happened to Charlie Kirk. So what's happening here is Netanyahu is scrambling, and he's scrambling to go to great lengths to distance Israel from what happened with regard to Charlie Kirk. And by the way, Bill Ackman, who is a mainstream supporter of Israel and was putting pressure on Charlie Kirk as well, has gone to great lengths to put out a tweet that says he had nothing but the highest respect for Charlie Kirk and had a very positive meeting with him and so forth and so on. So both the lobby or Israel's supporters in the United States and Netanyahu are scrambling to avoid blame for this event.
Max Blumenthal did a rather extraordinary piece here on this show right after having spent a few hours on the phone with sources whom he described as a person who was at the meeting with Ackman and Charlie, and a person in the White House. And Max has come to the conclusion that Ackman's people offered Charlie a tremendous amount of money. It's been reported not by Max but by others to be upwards of $150 million. If he would begin to say things favorable about Netanyahu, and Charlie refused. That's when Ackman and company invited him to Ackman's home on Long Island, and they began some sort of coercive pressure on him, and he refused that. And he told friends in the weeks and days before he was murdered that he was afraid for his life. And he told friends and colleagues that he didn't trust Netanyahu. But here is Netanyahu saying what you just said. Now, there's a lot in here to unpack. It's not that long. It's only about a minute long. But he does say, you'll hear this, he, meaning Kirk, encouraged me to make the case directly to the American people about how vital Israel is to the U.S. national security. Hold your fire. Here's Netanyahu yesterday.
Joseph Goebbels, the Nazi propaganda minister, said that the bigger the lie, the faster it will spread. Well, somebody has fabricated a monstrous big lie that Israel had something to do with Charlie Kirk's horrific murder. This is insane. It is false. It is outrageous. Charlie Kirk was a giant, a once-in-a-century talent who defended freedom, defended America, defended our common Judeo-Christian civilization. Charlie loved Israel. He loved the Jewish people. He told me so in a letter that he sent me just a few months ago. One of my greatest joys as a Christian, he said, is advocating for Israel and forming alliances with Jews to protect Judeo-Christian civilization. He encouraged me to make the case directly to the American people about how vital Israel is to U.S. national security. He told me, the Holy Land is so important to my life, it pains me to see support for Israel slip away. Now, if Charlie disagreed with a policy of mine or a decision here and there, not only did I not mind, I welcomed it. This is the essence of Charlie. This is the essence of a free country. It's exactly what Charlie stood for. And I knew that his suggestions always came from the heart, from his love for Israel and from his love for the Jewish people. A few weeks before his death, I spoke to Charlie. I invited him to visit Israel again. And sadly, that won't happen. Now some are peddling these disgusting rumors, perhaps out of obsession, perhaps with Qatari funding. What I do know is this: Charlie Kirk was a great man, and a great man deserves honor, not lies. Rest in peace, Charlie Kirk.
Well, he references a letter that Kirk sent to him. Of course, he won't read the second part of the letter in which Kirk denounced what was happening in Gaza. But this sentence, he encouraged me to make the case directly to the American people about how vital Israel is to U.S. national security. Israel isn't vital to the U.S. national security. It's destructive of U.S. national security. Is that not so?
Well, it's more than destructive of American national security. It's reaching the point where it's destructive of American liberal democracy as well. But let's leave that aside for a second. The fact is that what was happening with Charlie Kirk, and it's very well documented, is that he was changing his mind in a fundamental way on Israel and Israel's role inside of the United States. A lot of people in recent years have begun to rethink how they view Israel and Israel's relationship with the United States. And what happened with Kirk is that he was at one point, as Prime Minister Netanyahu describes, super supportive of Israel. But he began to change his mind. And Max Blumenthal lays the story out again very clearly in his interview with you. And for anybody who hasn't seen that, they should watch it. And by the way, Tucker Carlson has put out a video where he talks about his lengthy discussions with Charlie Kirk that basically tell the same story that Max tells. So it's quite clear that what was going on here is that Kirk had flipped on Israel and on Israel's relationship with the United States. So in a very important way, what's going on here is that Netanyahu is not telling the truth.
What else is new?
Yeah, that's right. But the problem is, I mean, there are two problems here. First of all, everybody, not everybody, but almost everybody believes that Netanyahu lies all the time. That's true in Israel as well as in the United States. So when he says he's telling the truth and others are lying, it's not an argument that's going to sell very well.
视频看完了，查理柯克不在人世了，令人深感惋惜。他是一位具有广泛影响力的公共声音，在舆论场中曾以鲜明立场引发深度思考。近期披露的信息显示，柯克在生命的最后阶段展现出了独立思考的勇气。当面临外界施压与利益诱惑时，他选择坚持自己对国际关系的判断，而非妥协于既定叙事。这种在压力下保持的思想自主的姿态，恰恰是公共讨论中最值得珍视的品质。柯克的故事则射出当代地缘政治叙事的复杂性。他从最初支持以色列到后期重新审视其角色，这一转变过程本身具有重要的对话价值。若能继续参与讨论，他本可以为公众理解大国关系提供更多层次的观点。遗憾的是，这样的对话因他的缺席而未能充分展开。他的经历也提醒我们，健康的公共领域需要容纳不同的思想演变轨迹。当一个人试图跳出固有框架进行探索时，其背后的勇气与真诚远比立场本身更值得关注。柯克未能完成的思考已成为公共领域的一处空白，而这或许是他留给社会最深刻的启示。谢谢大家观看，喜欢请点赞、评论加订阅，你的支持是我最大动力。比心，明天见，拜拜。